Hello, 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 every pony, or everybody, or whatever you want to call yourselves. This is the next chapter of Spike's Apple Bloom by, I think it's Bronymind. My memory is really bad. Anyway, the link will be in the description as always, and I hope you enjoy the story. I'm just going to find the chapter. Scrolly, scrolly. And yes, I hope you enjoy and that it is of adequate reading thing. Anyway, without further ado, The Walk, Part 2. The morning sunlight refracted from the small drops of dew on the roof of the train station, making the whole building appear as if it were sparkling. Oh, I can't wait to see Canterlot again. Thanks for taking me with y'all. It really means a lot to me, Applebloom said with a wide grin. It's fine, Applebloom. I'm used to taking some pony with me, so it's not really a problem, Twilight said as they boarded the train. We're in cabin 37, I think. That's down here, Spike said as he directed them to their cabin, a small two-bedroom. Here we go, Spike declared as he closed the door behind them. The journey to Canterlot shouldn't take too long. We should be there before afternoon, Twilight informed the pair as she picked a seat and placed her bag on it. Want me to grab you something to eat? Hey, I can get it for you, Spike offered. Ah, thanks, Spike. Twilight beamed and rubbed his head affectionately. Don't know what I'd do without you. Spike blushed. Thanks, Twilight. What do you want? I'll have a daisy sandwich, please, Twilight piped. I'll have whatever she's having, Applebloom said. 2 daisy sandwiches, Spike murmured as he walked out through the door. I just hope they have some gemstones. Silence fell upon the remaining females. Twilight shuffled uncomfortably. So, while we wait, how about we talk? Twilight asked. Sure. Why not? What do you want to talk about? Applebloom replied. I actually wanted to talk about life on the farm. What's it like there? Twilight inquired. Applebloom saw only genuine curiosity in Twilight's expression, despite the fact that she could never really see the older mare working on a farm. Well, the filly began, we usually wake up about 6 in the morning, eat breakfast, and go start working in the fields. In the summertime, I get to help Applejack with collecting the apples. I usually balance a bucket on my head so that way I can keep up with all the apples. It must be a challenge to keep up with all the falling apples. Not really. Applejack's really good at directing me, making sure I'm just the right spot. I see. What do you use your apples for? Twilight asked. Well, most of it we use for baking or selling at the stall in the market, except for apple cider season. Then we use some for that. And I'm back, Spike announced as he walked through the door with 2 sandwiches in his hand, interrupting whatever Twilight was going to say next. That was quick, Twilight remarked, clearly displeased by the interruption. Yeah, they didn't have any gemstones again. Spike huffed and handed over their meals and withdrew some gemstones from one of his pockets and stuffed them into his mouth. And where did they come from? Twilight asked, raising an eyebrow suspiciously. The dragon grinned guiltily. I've been saving them. You have a fresh stash of gemstones that I don't know about? Twilight said with a frown. Oh, well, would you look at the time? I'm sleepy, Spike said quickly, feigning a yawn. Spike? Twilight growled dangerously as she bit into her sandwich, but she ceased questioning the matter further. "Thanks, Spike," Apple Bloom chirped, oblivious to the scene unfolding before her as she began to eat her food. A silence hung over the trio as they ate their snacks, interrupted only by the smatterings of lips and the munching of teeth. "You know, I think I might just head to bed," Apple Bloom said, breaking the silence as she wiped her hooves on her coat. "That's a good idea," Twilight said with a smile. "I don't want you two falling asleep when we get to Canterlot. I'll be reading if you need me." The unicorn grabbed a book from her saddlebag and jumped onto her bed. Immediately she was lost deep within the book's pages. "You go grab some sleep, Apple Bloom. I've got to do something," Spike said in a hushed tone. "Are you sure?" the filly asked, unconcerned, as she hopped onto the other bed. "Hey, wait, where are you going to sleep? Be sleeping?" "Oh, I'm sure Twilight will let me sleep on her bed with her," Spike said, waving off the question as she headed for the door. It's okay, Spike. You can sleep on my bed if you want," Apple Bloom offered. The dragon paused and turned round to face the filly. That was a spelling error on there. It's just a typo. It says the instead of two. Round to face the filly. Sure, that sounds cool," he said, and turned back around to walk out the door. "Hey, Spike," Apple Bloom called. "Mm-hmm," Spike answered, lingering in the doorway. "Where you going?" "Oh, the dragon replied, "just going to check whether they've got any more gemstones. I kinda ran out." "Oh, well, I'll be waiting for you," Apple Bloom called as her almost cult friend left the room. She couldn't help but feel a little disappointed that he hadn't stayed. She'd not really had a chance to even have a conversation with him since he had asked her out. It's kind of weird thinking he could be my cult friend and all, she thought. Apple Bloom hadn't really thought about her answer. She'd been surprised when Spike had asked her out, yes, but as soon as she got home, she'd already made up her mind. She hadn't really thought her answer, but she knew she was going to say yes. The thoughts made her stomach flutter. Wait. Apple Bloom paused as realization dawned on her. I haven't even told the rest of the Cunard Crusaders. What would Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle say about this? Would they be mad at me for not telling them before? The filly couldn't help but feel a little guilty for neglecting her best friends. I just hope they won't be too mad. Apple Bloom, a voice called, slicing through her thoughts like a razor-sharp knife. Come on, wake up! Apple Bloom opened and blinked her bleary eyes as they protested against the harsh daylight. What? Huh? She mumbled. We're almost at Canterlot. We need to go, the voice insisted. Canterlot? Apple Bloom asked. I ain't going nowhere fancy like that. And the filly closed her eyes again. Spike groaned internally. Apple Bloom, he said loudly into her ear and shook her awake. All right, I'm coming. Apple Bloom sighed, rose from the bed. Glancing around, she saw Twilight had already taken the liberty of packing the stuff and was waiting patiently by the door. Attention, passengers. We will shortly be arriving in Canterlot. In just a few minutes' time, please take a moment to ensure that you have all of your personal belongings with you when you leave the train, and we thank you for boarding the Pony Express. Morning, you two. Princess Celestia's guards should be waiting for us when we get off the train onto the platform, Twilight said, as she used her magic to lift her saddlebag onto her back. books and parchment poked out of the top. They should take us to the palace. I don't know what you two want to do, but I heard that there's a new bookshop that's opened up near Donut Joe's. Maybe you could check that out, Twilight suggested excitedly. Applebloom glanced at Spike, who returned the gesture with a shrug and a smirk. Typical Twilight. Yeah, thanks for the advice, Twilight, Applebloom said with a forced smile. Do you want me to carry your bags for you? Spike offered, gesturing to Applebloom's saddlebag that was left untouched in the corner of the room. Applebloom blushed. Sure, if you want. You may also want to brush your mane. We should look our best when we meet with the princess after all, Twilight chuckled as she levitated her hairbrush and began brushing her scuffy mane. No thanks. I don't need to brush my mane. Oh, Applebloom gasped as she noticed her scruffy mane from her nap in the reflection of the glass window. Quick, give me that brush. The train pulled into the station, screeching to a halt as the trio disembarked. They saw a stern stallion in shining golden armour. Miss Sparkle, the guard stated as he approached them. Princess Celestia is waiting. Please follow me. The stallion wore only one expression: seriousness. Oh, are you one of Celestia's personal guards? Applebloom asked, bouncing in excitement. The guard took a moment to answer, as if considering whether to answer the question. Yes. Is it fun being a guard, Celestia's guard? Do you have to do everything she says? What if she told you to jump up and down on 2 legs? Would you do it? The filly demanded. The guard remained silent. Hey, Applebloom persisted. I think you should save your questions for the princess, Spike whispered. Being Celestia's guard is hard work, the guard said after hearing the dragon's whisperings. I do whatever my princess asks me. It's my duty. Oh, Applebloom murmured, pondering the possibilities. Here. The guard motioned to the chariot in front of them. Twilight thanked the guard and boarded it. Whoa, this is neat. I have never been inside a castle. Well, what's it like, Spike? Applebloom asked. It's huge, the dragon breathed in response, as he followed Twilight onto the chariot. I don't even think I got to explore it all when we lived here in Canterlot. We could explore it if you like. I think I'd like that, Applebloom whispered. Well, we'll see it soon, don't worry, Twilight confirmed. We'll be arriving at the palace in just a few minutes, Celestia's guard stated gruffly. Twilight stood straighter than usual as they walked into the castle. Whoa! Applebloom gasped in awe as she looked around. This is bigger than I ever thought it would be. Indeed, it is quite a marvellous castle, if I do say so myself. A voice boomed just ahead of them. Atop her throne sat Princess Celestia herself, in her regal glory. Her mane flowed like the sunrise had been stretched into an ever-moving river. Applebloom simply stood there, gawping. Princess Celestia, Twilight greeted formally, lowering her front in respect. Spike and Applebloom hastily followed suit. Rise, my little ponies, Celestia sighed, with a warm smile that radiated kindness. Twilight Sparkle, my most faithful student. Princess, Twilight grinned in delight as she ran up to embrace the princess in a warm hug. I hope your journey went well, but we must not tarry, Twilight. I have quite the task for you. Indeed, we mustn't waste any time, Princess Celestia said. Princess, I have a question, Applebloom interrupted. And what might that be? The Princess Celestia asked, with a genuine smile at the filly's curiosity. I was wondering, how hard is it to raise the sun every morning? Applebloom asked. Well, it's much harder than lowering it for the night, if that answers your question, Princess Celestia chuckled. Twilight, I must speak in private. While you wait, how about you two go look around the gardens? Sure, Spike said. I hear they're quite pretty this time of year. Okay, Applebloom cheered. Finally, this was an opportunity to talk to Spike alone. All right, follow me, Applebloom, the dragon said with a smile, and led the filly away from the princess and the unicorn, all the while retelling stories of his past experiences in the castle. As soon as the pair left, Princess Celestia and Twilight walked away from Celestia's throne. Isn't it cute? They have found each other's company. Princess Celestia sighed. How did you know that they're together? Twilight asked. Princess's intuition, Celestia continued with a sad smile. Also, it's fun once in a while to see love bloom, she continued, brightening up and winking. I see. Twilight shrugged it off and glanced back at the young couple as she ascended one of the palace's many towers. Whoa! Look at all those roses! They're so pretty! Applebloom admired. Yeah, they are, Spike said as he plucked a rose behind Applebloom. How about this one? Huh? Applebloom asked, glancing at the rose in the dragon's claw. Spike grinned and put the rose into Applebloom's mane, threading it through her bow. Spike, Applebloom breathed. That's so nice of you. It's okay. Don't worry, Applebloom, Spike said with a smile. Applebloom returned the smile and grabbed the dragon into a strong hug. She loved the feel of his soft scales against her fur and the sound of his heartbeat against her sensitive ears. She loved the way Spike ran his claw through her mane like a comb, scratching her scalp ever so slightly, and the way his soft breath tickled her neck, raising the hairs. Hey, how about we look around in the statue garden? Spike asked. Sure. I haven't been there since our school trip with Miss Shirley, Applebloom said, as she uncoiled herself from Spike, and the pair made their way through the maze of the garden. Whoa, Discord looks a lot different different than I remember him. He looks kinda scared, Applebloom commented as she admired the sights around her. You'd think that, wouldn't you? Huh? The filly glanced around at the empty clearing. Who said that? I am right in front of you, you silly pony, the voice whispered. In front of me? I don't see any pony except the statues, Applebloom murmured. That's because I am the statue in front of you, Discord purred. Applebloom yelped in surprise as she turned around and ran away. Hey, wait! All I want is a burrito! I'm starving here! Discord yelled at the fleeing filly. And being a statue leaves you with one hell of a stiff neck, the petrified Draconicus sighed. Hey, Applebloom, wait up! Spike called as he gave chase after the filly. The pair found themselves next to a small pond. Sorry, Spike. Guess I just wasn't expecting Discord to talk and all that. Applebloom chuckled nervously. Don't worry about it. Hey, wait! I know where we are, Spike exclaimed, pointing at the small pond. What's so special about this pond? The filly asked. Come here. Let me show you. Spike gestured to the pond. Yeah, I thought so. This is the dream pond. Dream pond? What does it do? It's supposed to show you your dreams, although sometimes it can show nightmares. I think Luna blessed it before she was banished, and it was one of the few things that she left behind. Huh, let me see. Applebloom knew some Earth Pony myths, but this was something she'd never heard of. Sure, just look into the pond, Spike said, as he pulled the filly down to face the pond. Applebloom wasn't sure what to expect as she glanced down into the pond. Colours flashed before her. They formulated into images that flitted around her vision. Bucking apple trees with Big Macintosh, winning the Sisterhood Social with Applejack, being teased by Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara, befriending Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo, making a love poison, saying goodbye to Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle, returning to school and seeing her friends again. Spike. The last image hung around for a fraction of a second longer than the rest. The hesitation was enough for Applebloom to notice that it was Spike's first day at school. When he'd walked into the classroom, he looked out of place, so alone. Then Spike was defending Applebloom from Time and Tiara. The familiar feeling of gratitude Applebloom had felt that day rose up again, forcing tears to her eyes. The images blurred, but Applebloom wiped the tears from her eyes, unwilling to look away. They were at the library, laughing. They were on the train, smiling. They were staring into the pond. Sat there. Applebloom blinked and glanced up. Her eyes met Spike's as he glanced up as well. What did you see? What did you see? She breathed. Us, Spike admitted, blushing a little. Well, what about us? Applebloom pressed. Spike began fidgeting. Oh, you know, he said, fading away, hoping she would interrupt him. Wait, what did you see? Everything, Applebloom breathed. Everything? Yeah, like all the important moments in my life, and Spike repeated, hanging on to her last word. Huh? Oh, nothing. Spike looked torn. Fine. I saw you. I saw you and me. I mean, like, together, the dragon whispered, grinning awkwardly. What? Really? Applebloom gasped. Me too. We were in the classroom and then on the train and then here, and it was all so strange. Spike smiled in relief. Why didn't you just say so, silly? The dragon giggled playfully. I could have asked you the same thing. The filly winked. Filly retorted with a wink. Bleh. Well, Spike returned to his fidgeting. I guess it just took me a little while to realise how much you meant to me. Applebloom gasped in surprise. Spike? What I mean is... Spike grappled with his words. What I meant to say was I like you. Like, really, really like you. Well, duh. We're on a date, right? Applebloom chuckled. Yeah, I guess, but I just wanted you to know. Spike trailed off as he continued to search for the words. I've been thinking about you a lot, and I keep dreaming about you. The pond showed me and you together, just together, and it was nice. I just feel so happy when I'm around you. Maybe you'll just laugh at me or get scared or something and end up never wanting to be my friend again, but I think I love you. Huh? Applebloom gasped in surprise. I love you, Spike repeated, more confidently this time. Applebloom's eyes shimmered. You mean it? Yes, I'm sure of it. Spike? The filly breathed. You want to be with me? Yes. Yes, Spike whispered. Applebloom didn't hesitate any longer and threw her hooves around the dragon. Spike, you mean a lot to me. I don't think I understand why, but you do, Applebloom whispered back. I love you, Applebloom. I promise. Spike breathed and kissed Applebloom. I love you too, Spike. Isn't that lovely? Oh, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this story. It's not bad. It's pretty good, this story. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And again, that it was of adequate quality, reading quality. But anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned for the next installment of this wonderful reading. Wonderful story of Spike's Applebloom by, and I will tell you the name, Bronymind. Bronymind. Yes, as I already said in the first video, but I will now say now. But yes, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening. Toodaloo.